Hey there, this is Dr. Evan Osar, developer of the Integrative Movement System. Welcome to video 3 of this Integrative Movement Insider 3-part video series on training thoracic rotation. If you missed parts 1 and 2, be sure to check them out before checking out this information, because this video is going to build off the information from parts 1 and 2. In part 1, we discussed the importance of thoracic rotation and some of the common reasons our clients lose thoracic rotation. It's important to understand why they lose it, because that helps us develop a proper plan for improving rotation. In video 2, we discussed one of our go-to strategies as part of our integrative movement system corrective exercise strategy in improving thoracic rotation. First thing we want to improve is sagittal plane stability, so stacking those thoracic rings over top the pelvic ring. The corrective exercise pattern we used in video 2, we started to train trunk dissociation, or dissociating that thorax from the lumbar spine and pelvis. We use our half kneel with rotation pattern to teach pure thoracic dissociation. In this video, we'll take that information into the upright position and start to load a rotary type pattern. Now, this pattern is not technically training rotation. However, it's very important because it helps our clients control rotation. Now, in the corrective exercise, we are teaching dissociation, which is an important component of rotation. However, it's also important as we start to load people up, load our clients up, that we teach them to control rotation first. So this cable rotation pattern is basically, we're teaching them to stop rotation or to control rotation, to control that thoracopelvic cylinder against a rotary force, or force pulling us into rotation. The important component of this pattern, again, is that sagittal plane stabilization and making sure the client is using too much weight, which will pull them off that sagittal plane, or I should say that longitudinal axis that runs down through the top of the head, down through the spine, and out through the tailbone. So here's how this pattern looks. Now, before we've trained this pattern, we've also ensured the client has proper hip rotation, because that's a huge part of this pattern as well. So we grab the cable, the handle will stay right in front of my sternum. So I want to make sure I don't use too much weight, so I can control that weight in front of my sternum. So now I'm going to take a pretty wide stance, staggered stance. One leg's going to be facing out this direction, and the other leg's sort of angled out just slightly opposite. But again, the foot position isn't as important as the component that we're training here. We're going to bring the handle in front of our chest. So again, we start with a stacked and aligned thoracopelvic cylinder. Then we place our feet. Then we bring the resistance into, so the handle is in front of our chest. Now the first pattern, or the first motion in the pattern, is to rotate back towards the leg that's closer to the machine. So again, I'm still stacked up, I'm aligned, keeping that longitudinal axis through the center of my spine, and then I rotate away or towards the leg that's further away from the machine. The handle, again, staying right in front of my sternum, and then I rotate back towards, and then away. Rotate back towards and away. The entire time, controlling that longitudinal axis and keeping that thorax stacked over top of the pelvis, so all the rotation, again, is from my hips. I'm controlling the rotation of the cable pulling me back towards the machine. When clients are wearing shirts that have logos on them, it's great because you can really watch that logo to make sure that the logo stays centered through the spine and through the top of the head. So I'll flip around so you can see that. So stack up first, align that thoracopelvic cylinder. Grab the handle, pull it from the chest, set the foot position however you want them. Now rotate away from the machine and then back towards. The entire time controlling that thoracopelvic cylinder so you're not losing rotation. Because a lot of our clients are using weight that's too heavy, or they're not controlling the rotation, so they translate off their axis and then they rotate off the axis. So they become basically just over-translating or shearing across the thoracopelvic cylinder. So we want to make sure that we stay aligned through a longitudinal axis going through the top of the head, down through the tailbone, stacked up, rotate the entire cylinder, and then come back, rotate away. Control it towards and away from the attachment. So that way, your rotation pattern starts, you're teaching your client how to control their thoracopelvic cylinder, their thoracic rings on top of their pelvic ring, through that transverse plane motion and against that resistance that's pulling them out of the rotary position. Once they've developed that awareness, that control, now you can start teaching them how to train dissociation through the pattern as well. But again, it's the same idea. Keep that long spine, keep those rings stacked, make sure they rotate on the axis as they're rotating away. But a lot of our clients never get to that point or don't need to get to that point because actually improving that ability to maintain that thoracopelvic cylinder ends up improving their rotation because you're really teaching them that ultimate control that helps to restore the ability to get pure axial rotation. And that's ultimately what's stopping a lot of our clients from rotating in the first place. They're not doing a great job stacking up the rings over top of the pelvic rings, so then they start overly translating or shearing the thorax as they're rotating, or they're over compressing one side, and that translates them too far to the other direction. So the more pure we can create sagittal plane stabilization through our alignment, breathing, and control, the more we're able to teach pure trunk dissociation in the half kneel position we used last time, the more pure we make our upright patterns without overloading them with too much resistance, will allow them to create that pure control of rotation, and now you can start to train in that rotation type pattern. So you're actually teaching them how to rotate with resistance, with a load. And that's really ultimately how you help your clients improve how they move, how they perform, and ultimately how they feel as well. If you're looking for additional resources, check out Complete Core Conditioning. We've created a 3 DVD set on how we train thoracic stabilization, core stabilization, and ultimately train rotation. Remember, we train sagittal plane stabilization first with the principles of the integrated movement system, alignment, breathing, control. Then we teach dissociation. Then we teach the control in the upright position. Use the progressions that allow your client to be the most successful, and that way you help your clients move better, perform better, and feel better. This is Dr. Evanoso. I hope you enjoyed this series. If you liked it, please like us on Facebook. Please share it with your friends and colleagues, and we'll catch you next time on Integrative Movement Insider. Take care.